creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
I think we all remember the apartment complex that just mysteriously building 7'd into rubble in North Miami. That was in Bal Harbor. That happened on the same night that John McAfee died. Wow. And it's believed that he had an apartment or information stored in this one little apartment in Bal Harbor. When that apartment building collapsed, they didn't let American response teams or like emergency teams do all the digging. Jake, I'm not even kidding. Go look this up. They literally brought in the IDF to dig through the rubble. There's dude, it's Ron DeSantis had a whole ceremony where he was like patting the IDF on the back. He's like, thanks.
How can they rationalize this? How can they bring the IDF to handle American matters? This is insane.
Dude.
Remember, I'll do these videos saying, hey, it's nice to look back on the stories you haven't heard back in a while. Yeah, here's another one. So John McAfee, I'll let you guys look him up, had allegedly a kill switch. If anything happened to him, a lot of stuff was going to get exposed. Okay, boom, he dies. Boom, the building drops. Now, they were saying, oh, it's because of the sand. It's because I've been building in that neighborhood and all around it for over 30 years, living in Florida. And so the story about how that fell makes it just as much sense as any of the other lame-ass stories of 9/11. But to bring in the IDF, oh, I get it now. Here's where they become our greatest ally when it comes to covering up something. To bring in the IDF to clean up construction damage, because that was a story. Oh, it's an old building, it fell. Just on John McAfee's side, right?
Just
so
on the,
if it's not that,
his side?
Then it's a crime scene, just like the World Trade Centers or Building 7, right? Crime scenes need investigations, but you can't even have a local American company clean up the mess or something like. You got to bring in the IDF for that. That's one of the most suspicious stories I think I've heard in my lifetime. What do you guys think?
Yeah, bringing IDF to clean up the site is crazy. Building 7, huh? I'm gonna use that.
This is a demonstration video showing how the DC snipers carried out their killing spree. From October 2002, they terrorized the Washington, D.C. area by shooting unsuspecting victims from the trunk of a modified blue Chevrolet Caprice. The car had a hole cut near the license plate, allowing the rifle barrel to poke through while the shooter remained hidden inside. To those outside, it looked like a parked car, but from within, it became a mobile sniper's nest. This concealment made it nearly impossible for anyone to know where the shots were coming from.
There's a movie about it, Blue Caprice.
There are indications of strangely out-of-place technology amongst the Denisovans. One of them is a green stone bracelet in the form of a torque, and a hole has been drilled through the bracelet, and from that hole, a pendant was hung. Then the archaeologists started to take a look in detail at the drill marks on that hole, and what they discovered was a huge anomaly, that was drilled with a stable, fixed drill at extremely high speed. This is thought to be 40 or 50,000 years old. There is not supposed to have been any such technology in that period, and yet there it is.
It's very strange. All these men that were the inventors of the rockets and stuff, they're all very, very into the occult. And so one guy, Jack Parsons, who is called America's rocket godfather, basically he's the one that started the rocket program in the United States. He was part of this organization called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. He was basically underneath Aleister Crowley.
No way.
He had his own chapter in California. So Aleister Crowley, he joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where he was trained in ceremonial magic. But this guy, Jack Parsons, he said that through the ceremonial magic and whatnot, him, just like others, like the Nazi Party, these Russian engineers, they all received this information about going to space and going to the stars from different entities.
Oh, come on.
They said it was never our knowledge. It was gifted to us. They called them like downloads and stuff. That was just a weird thing to me, this connection of like pretty much the same exact time all over the world, these engineers were receiving these revelations from entities being like, you have to conquer space, conquer the stars. This is how you're going to do it. And they all built these rockets around the same time. Just crazy to me. I also discovered that Buzz Aldrin, along with a ton of astronauts, a ton of NASA directors, were all 33-degree Freemasons. And Buzz Aldrin, when he landed on the moon, with him, one of his belongings that he brought was a tiny little silk flag that was from the Freemason Scottish Rite movement, the 33-degree Masons. Super weird.
What are we doing?
Really weird thing. One of these test pads where they tested the Apollo missions was test pad number 33, and there's only one runway at NASA. Only one runway. It's not runway 1, not runway A. It's runway 33.
Why?
Super weird.
I don't get it, man. This is just beyond me. I hate it.
Does 33 coincide with years of Christ?
What if I told you that cloning already exists, and it's thousands of years older than modern science? There's a strange story dating back to 6000 BC about the ancient Bharat that sounds eerily identical to human cloning. Well, you see, a woman named Gandhari had her embryo divided into 101 parts, each one placed into separate containers, where every piece grew into a fully formed human child. A literal description of embryonic splitting and artificial incubation, except written 6 millennia ago. Sounds like a crazy story, right? Except maybe cloning wasn't just done in ancient history, because just last year, reports claimed that U.S. Special Forces raided underground cloning labs in the Missouri Ozarks and in Alaska, labs filled with metal caverns, 7-foot incubation cylinders, and inside them, clones. And here's where it gets darker. The clones weren't just anyone. They were alleged replicas of Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, Gretchen Whitmer, and even 2 Anthony Faucis. Whistleblowers claim elites keep backup clones stored in stasis, controlled through brain chips, 5G networks, and even nanotechnology. And Hollywood? They've been hinting at this for decades through films like The Sixth Day, Oblivion, Moon, Duel, and They Cloned Tyrone. So if ancient civilizations knew cloning, and modern labs are allegedly creating replacements, how long have clones really been used? And maybe the more important question is used for what? So,
I don't know what saddens me more. The fact that you don't see any beautiful passenger trains like this, especially in America, or the fact that such amazing and beautiful pieces of old world machinery like these trains were allowed to sit out in the middle of a field and rot away. But just look at the railways of the old world in their prime and how beautiful they looked. Now compare a few of these to what we get on Amtrak today. I can certainly see why the federal government continues to pump millions of dollars into them. But they had everything from rocket trains to Zeppelin trains, like you saw in my previous video. And they even had Zeppelin trains on elevated rail. A truly beautiful golden age of travel. And sad how, in America especially, we've invested so little into proper passenger train service. The controllers would rather tear down all of our beautiful architecture to put up highways and freeways and ugly parking structures in downtowns.
Wow, look at that.
Making sure we all are slaves to our oil-dependent vehicles. Amazing the innovation that came from that time. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
My first and only real-world hydrographic reconnaissance. The funniest part of that was you always get briefed on dangerous marine life, but whatever, I don't give a shit. They're not going to hurt you. But this one we paid attention to, and they said, you're going to be swimming in on the coast of Africa. There's every man-eating shark you can imagine. There shouldn't be any, but if you see saltwater crocodiles, they're 20 feet long, they'll eat you. There aren't any hippos, but those are the deadliest animal in Africa. They kill more people than anything. Oh, and here's your landing point. It's called Black Mamba Point. The reason it's called Black Mamba Point is because it's full of black mambas, and they're very aggressive. They'll chase you and they'll kill you. And then even when we flooded the well deck of the USS LaSalle to get off, there were hammerheads that were like swimming into the ship.
Holy
like, what's this? I think the Marines came in by helicopter. It's like, you're welcome.
Oh, man.
What a...
I mean, this is adventure.
Fascinating and overlooked part of history. I can tell you right now, nobody in Mesoamerica liked the Aztecs. The Spaniards were shocked at how barbaric the Aztecs were. Essentially said that their civilization was absolutely demonic. So this is the blueprint for the Aztecs. You're crippling the guy that you're fighting, and then you're going to tie him up, pull him to the top of the pyramid, rip his heart out, and sacrifice him to the war god or the sun god or the rain god. But the Aztecs were also shocked that the Spaniards, their style of warfare was complete total war. Just slaughtered people in the marketplace. This is like just the momentum of civilization moving forward. Exactly the same thing was happening in the Americas. You think of the Wild West, your only lot in life is like, I hear about this place over in California, there's lots of gold out there, having absolutely no idea that there are Comanches rolling around the plains that will scalp you and torture you to death and burn you alive just 160 years ago. Think about that. And what's really crazy is right at the beginning of their civilization, how did the Olmecs transport these heads, aliens? I find myself studying ancient people and I see the bizarre things that they come up with and the things that they believe. And what is actually the answer to this?
In Europe, they threw their poop in the road and they burn you alive for being a witch.
My name is Edgar from the United States.
Any city in the United States?
Texas.
Texas City?
Yes.
What's your name?
Sergeant James Riley.
From any country? From any country? United States?
Yes, from the United States.
City?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
اسمها شانا وقادمة من مدينة تكساس. How old are you?
30.
Yes. 13. 30 سنة.
From any unit?
From any unit in American Army.
507 maintenance.
Yes.
507 maintenance.
507 من الوحدة 507.
They look so scared. Oh man.
Sergeant, will you ask this man how much military training he's had?
Was für Ausbildung haben Sie bekommen?
Rechtsum, linksum und marschieren.
Kein Waffen?
Nicht.
He just received training in close order drill. He didn't have any training with weapons at all.
No training with weapons.
That's right.
How long has this young man been in the military service?
Seit wie lange sind Sie schon in der Schule?
4 Jahre.
He's been there for 4 years.
And for 4 years?
That's right.
Has this young man ever had any combat with American troops?
Haben Sie gegen amerikanische Truppen gekämpft?
Nicht.
He says no, emphatically.
No. What's the age of this young man?
Wie alt sind Sie?
14.
He's 14 years old.
14 years old and been in the Army for 4 years.
The GI translating asked him how long he went to school for. Doubt he was recruited with 10 years of age.
There's only two types of people in this world, brothers. Those who are born again and hang to heaven, and those who are not born again and hang to hell. When I was a Buddhist, I was taught all roads lead to one, and I was like, that's cool, we're all going to heaven.
Yeah.
How good. But when I killed myself, I was in hell. That's what made me become a Christian. And while I was in hell, I saw demons, blurry creatures. You're talking about these things were not the little ones you see in Tom and Jerry, like eat that, eat the cake, don't eat the cake.
Yeah.
These things were huge. You came, it's like 3-4 stories tall with capes, with weapons. Like I knew they were in charge of this place called hell, and they were like little cages too. And I knew I was gonna get tortured. I'm waiting for my turn, and I pray in Jesus' name nobody goes there. Like it's something.
Did it feel like a dream, or like you were physically in the room, like you're in this room right now?
It was more real than right now, Ben. It was so real, like it was not a dreamy or transy thing. It was the most real experience I've ever had. When I think about it, it still stresses me out because like the agony. So like, there's like a limit to pain on earth.
Yeah.
I'd rather get tortured in a prison camp in Afghanistan or North Korea for Jesus than go back to hell.
This guy ran 280 miles faster than a horse every week. An Aboriginal runner in Australia, he delivered life-saving medicine and essential mail in an area with 0 trains, cars, or telegraph. Our man ran a 280-mile route between Fowler's Bay and Euclid every week, using indigenous methods to hunt his own food and gather water from rock holes along the way. When children got sick, he outran horse messengers barefoot, carrying medicines like quinine and laudanum on that 560-mile round trip to save their lives. Being paid in tobacco, he received 0 money for his effort. They called him Coolbeery, meaning the mailman, but his name was Jimmy Campbell.
He would be a world-class athlete had he born on the last 30 odd years. So many men give their lives for nothing. Look at Europe now. Paris used to be one of the real jewels of Europe. Now it's a third world. Sorry to say this, but toilet.
Tesla, who gets funded by JP Morgan to create wireless technology, but Tesla gets a little ambitious and says, I'm going to do wireless communication, but I'm going to take your $150,000, I'm going to do wireless energy. We'll do free energy around the world. And Morgan's like, how do you put a meter on that? Tesla's like, what do you mean? This propel mankind forward. Morgan pulls his funding, tells everyone in the investment class, this guy's a kook, and if you invest with him, you don't do business with me. A few years later, Wardenclyffe Tower gets torn down, Tesla dies in poverty. And where are those 20 boxes? Why was the government so quick to respond to that crime scene?
Yeah, they showed up at that guy's house quick.
Uncle John Trump was in charge of that.
Donald Trump's uncle reviewed Tesla's death ray secrets and found mysterious royal letters.
She said, I'm not going through this again. I went through one war already. 6 months later, I was 17. And I said, Dad, sign this. He said, what is it? I want to go in the Marine Corps. Give me a pen. And he signed it. And he said to my mother, Vera, come here. Sign this. He's going in the Marine Corps. And she said, I'm not signing that paper. I went through it with you, and I'm not going to go through that again. And he said, Vera, listen to me. The boy walks out of school. He's been doing odd jobs. He'll probably turn out to be a bum. And she said, give me a pen. She signed it. I'm done with it. I ran all the way back, met the gunny again. He said, how did you? I says, I'm 17. The papers are signed. He said, good. See that door over there? I said, yes, sir. You're going in that door, and you're going to meet a Navy doctor. And that doctor is going to check you over from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, and you ain't never going to forget it, young man. And I went through it, and I will never forget that physical. I still remember.
Lake Lanier is built on top of a drowned black community. Beneath Georgia's famous Lake Lanier lies the ruins of Oscarville, a thriving black town in the early 1900s. Black families owned land, businesses, schools. But after racial terror and forced removals, the government flooded the land to create a lake. Today, boaters ride over sunken cemeteries and ghost neighborhoods. People call the lake cursed because it is. It drowned black prosperity and buried it underwater, which is why.
Do they teach this in school in America? So cool. and cool.
What if I told you that one of the strangest, most supernatural stories in the Bible has left behind real, physical evidence that someone is trying to cover up? In Genesis, there's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, a city so corrupt God had to destroy it. But before he did, he sent an angel to warn Lot's family to flee, because he knew they were good people, with one rule: do not look back. As they escaped, burning sulfur rained down on the city. But Lot's wife couldn't resist the temptation, and the moment she turned back, she turned into a pillar of salt. Crazy story, right? Well, you see, just last month, an eerie, human-shaped figure made of 80% salt was found near where scholars believe Sodom and Gomorrah once stood. And, interestingly enough, the figure was facing the exact direction Lot's family would have been running towards. Furthermore, found across the area were millions of pure sulfur balls. So pure, they don't form naturally anywhere else on Earth, while nearby ruins sit under thick ash with walls that look like they melted in an instant, exactly like Genesis describes. But here's where it gets darker. If you look this case up online, you'll find blurred satellite images, excavations restricted, and reports reclassified as natural anomalies. Why is someone trying to hide it so badly? Is it possible that if this story is real, they'd have to admit the rest of the Bible is real too, and they wouldn't want that to happen? But that's crazy, right? I mean, who would try this hard to disprove something unless they knew there were more secrets inside it that they don't want anyone else to uncover? So,
preach, God never lied, and his return is near.
Well, how you want to be bad? You want a big kettle?
About that, I don't give a damn to throw me in the gutter.
Moors and like, you you have any type of Moors who stand on places? Standards? No standards?
They about they live.
If it's true, how was he allowed the right to take hormone tablets? AI, this is AI. I can't.
So another miracle that happened was that this was in an isolated village in Romania, and the people there very isolated. They didn't have a priest to baptize their children, do the Holy Communion. They wanted to go to confession. They wanted all these basic, spiritual needs of theirs met, and they didn't have anybody. So they wrote to the bishop and they said, "Please send us a priest." And the bishop said, "Look, I don't have anybody to send you. I can't help you." After a while, this priest came out of nowhere, and he started baptizing them. He started teaching them about the faith. He started baptizing their children. He did liturgy. He was there a month, and he did a whole bunch of stuff for them. And as he baptized them, he had to sign the baptismal certificates, so he signed it. And after a month, he left, and they wrote back to the bishop, and they said, "Thank you so much for sending the priest to us. He was so nice. He did all these wonderful things for us." And the bishop was like, "A priest went there? I didn't send anybody." So they went there to investigate, and they started looking into it, and they got the documents from the baptisms of these children, and they looked at the signature, and it said Nectarius Ependopoulos, the saint. He had signed it.
How many uncontacted tribes are they aware of?
I think there's like over 100 different groups across the Amazon. There's also varying degrees of, and the other thing is the conversation so often gets turned to like they're, violent, and they're people that live out in the jungle. And I have no idea how they do it either, because, at night we need headlamps. We don't have night vision. All the animals have night vision. So it's like, what do they do that night? They're able to make fire in the jungle at night every day. If I gave you an entire book of matches, me and you, we sat down right now in the jungle. It's like, okay, cool. You got a machete and a book of matches. First one to make fire wins. We couldn't do it. It's wet. Everything is wet. So how are they, are they doing bow drill? What are they doing? We don't really know. No. We don't know how they do that. We don't know how they stay infection free. We don't know what they do with their old people. We never see old people. We never really see children.
After making
wow.
a pact with the devil himself, he then goes on to brutally murder his mother and then take his own life. Crazy. They actually found a note, and it said this: "To the greatest demons of hell, I, Tom Sullivan, would like to make a solemn exchange with you. If you give me the most extreme of all magical powers, I will use them wisely to tempt as many people as possible and do evil and follow you." On January 9th, 1988, 37-year-old Betty Ann, she had been stabbed 47 times in her upper torso and face. Investigators could account for everyone in the family except for Tommy Jr. On the morning after the murder, a phone call came into police where a woman notified them that she had found the body of a boy in her backyard. And sure enough, this was Tommy Sullivan Jr. When emergency services arrived, they noticed that his wrists had been cut almost all the way down to the bone, and his throat was literally cut But from one side to the other, there was blood splatter along the fence, and they wondered if this was either self-inflicted or another brutal murder. Police discovered a Boy Scout pocket knife about 4 or 5 inches long near his body. Forensics also determined that the same knife had been used to kill Betty Ann that was used by Tommy, they believe, to kill himself. And the case was officially closed after the funeral service and declared a murder-suicide.
Was this behavior the result of a pact with the devil?
Pack aggressive mentality. It's tribal, and it comes, in my opinion, from who a lot of Africans are. Like, they didn't have to go through the Renaissance and the Dark Ages. They didn't have to go through the Bronze Age. They didn't have to build a society where they had to learn to respect each other because everyone was armed. They didn't have to struggle against the wildlife to then conquer it and cut the trees down and build a settlement. They were just dropped here.
That's the thing. I was talking to somebody else today, too. It's like, do I think that, like, blacks shouldn't be able to fly on planes because they didn't invent the planes? No, I don't think that. But it's like, okay, how do we invent the plane? Well, a lot of guys died trying to invent the plane, right? They try to do it. They jump off a building, boom, dead. Okay. And then once we invented the plane, we figured it out. Those people died because we had to learn all the lessons of what it is to fly planes regularly and put more weight on planes, right? Yeah. This was a huge process, and I think hundreds or thousands of people died going through that process. And now, yes, fine, blacks can fly on our planes. Okay. But they're flying on planes and then they're talking crap about us too, though.
What?
Like they're laughing in our faces saying, actually, we built this.
If you think about it, they're only 5 generations apart from being hunter-gatherer caveman. Unlike the rest of the world.
Stories freak me out more than anything. Apparently, coyotes had just like run over the guy who's hunting property, and he's going to take care of the problem. He hears something behind him.
Oh gosh.
He describes the steps. This is like deep snow as deliberate and like sequential steps. And he whips around and he turns the light on the thing, and there is this 7-foot creature that drops to all fours and like glowing yellow eyes. This thing, which had long hair, pulled back ears, long snout like a dog. This thing had human hands with long claws.
Oh, gosh.
And when he saw that, the thing starts to crawl toward him on all fours as it takes the first step. He had a 12 gauge loaded up, pulled the trigger, let out a yell, but he described it as almost like a long bark. Comes back the next day with one of his buddies, and the tracks are still there, and there's still a blood trail, and he describes the tracks as dog-like. It had gone back upright when it ran after being shot.
On twos?
And the tracks appear as though they've like jumped, but it's a wide open field. No more tracks, no more blood.
Portal. Weird.
Dude doesn't hunt anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Sounds like something from Skinwalker Ranch.
Banks were given to us by the Knights Templars, the Masonic Lodge of Knights Templars in Europe. Our educational institutions, universities and colleges were given to us by the Masonic order coming out of Rome. This is why the square martyr board is a Catholic symbol. And Jews. How many Jews know that? When you wear a yarmulke, that's not Jewish, it's Roman. That's why the Pope wears a yarmulke. That's why the cardinals wear the yarmulke. It's a Roman symbol. It's not Jewish. The Jews were told to wear the yarmulke to show subjection to Rome. And they got so used to using it, they think it's a Jewish symbol. It's not Jewish. It's Roman. So many people willingly bend themselves to what their masters want from them. What your masters want is for you to be in compliance, for you to think what they have told you to think.
So at the hunting parties, they would they'd have all these expendable children outside in the woods, and usually they have holding grounds, like a tunnel system or something underground where they hold the kids in cages until the time of the hunt. And the hunt usually happens later, once it's dark outside. And so what they'll do is they kind of they'll kind of make a perimeter, which is pretty large, of these woods, and they'll station the different elite people around the perimeter. And then when they give the go, they release the kids, and the kids are told just to run, to hide. And that's when the elite will go through the woods and start hunting for them. when they catch them, a lot of times they will first sexually abuse them, and then they'll kill them. So not everybody will get killed in that situation. If they don't, then they're used for other hunts. But, there were kids that I saw who, were really good survivors, and they would just continuously have to relive this trauma, so there was kind of like, so those were the kids on the outside, and then because we were hierarchy kids, we were on the inside. And so on the inside, usually in the house or the lodge, you would have the older men who were too old. Sometimes it did include women, but they were too old to be out in the woods hunting for the kids. So they brought everything indoors for those individuals. And those individuals were not allowed to kill, but they were allowed to capture and rape the hierarchy children. So, once the signal was given that the hunt was on, you were just trying to escape, hide, and not be found. And sometimes they would make it seem, for the kids, like it was a hide and seek game. So unless you got caught, you really didn't know what happened.
God, please help those kids.
It's an unbelievable battle. He wipes out somewhere around 20,000 Persian soldiers with a few tens of casualties. The Persians not only outnumber him, they're better equipped. They have more armor, more technology. He goes and fights another battle. Same kind of odds, 15,000 to 20,000, beats the Persians again. Goes and fights another battle. And he keeps doing this, and he keeps beating them time after time. The Persian Empire can't figure out what's going on. In one battle, the Persians decide they're going to set up an ambush for him. They actually buried men in the desert, and they just laid still. And when Khalid came out to fight his champion, the men in the desert popped up and they attacked, and he ended up fighting, I think it was like 15 men. So it was just him against 15 men, one of his soldiers. And so he runs and joins Khalid, and the two men together kill the 15 men. The whole rest of the Arab army is like, okay, no, it's fair. Yeah, I don't know, why didn't 13 men go join them? By 634, he'll fight the Battle of Firaz. He's completely conquered what is today Iraq. Persian Empire's capital was in what is now Iraq. It's a place called Tisafon. It's actually not far from Baghdad.
At the ancient Egyptian necropolis of Tuna el-Gebel, curious archaeologist Sami Gabra began extensive excavations beneath the sand, lay a secret that had been hidden for centuries, an ancient underground sanctuary dedicated to the god Thoth. But it was what was inside that would defy all expectations. Gabra made his way through the ancient corridors, which eventually opened up into a vast underground gallery. He looked around and suddenly froze. There were thousands of mummies, but there was something different about them. They were not human. Gabra's heartbeat pounded as he looked upon creatures with elongated limbs, sharp fangs, and sunken eye sockets. Baboons, thousands of them. These mummified baboons were bred for this fate, raised in darkness to be sacrificed to the god Thoth.
Did you know Japan's royal family claims they descend from an ancient reptilian race? For educational entertainment purposes only. Here's the proof. Japan's oldest texts openly record a bloodline linked to non-human reptilian beings. Japan's imperial line, the oldest monarchy on Earth, traces its ancestry to Toyota Mahaim, daughter of Ryujin, the Dragon King who lived in a vast undersea palace. The Kojoki, a text containing Japan's imperial family's official divine genealogy, and the Nihon Shoki, a text including heavenly descent of the imperial ancestors, describe him as a shape-shifting reptilian being who could appear human when needed. And the imperial family even has relics today that theorists claim were given to the royal family from this reptilian race. The mirror, said to be an ancient device used to communicate with deities, which could be similar to the obsidian scrying mirror that John Dee used to contact angelic beings. The sword, taken by the storm deity Susanoo, who defeated the 8-headed serpent Orochi, who was guarding it. Some say the sword is actually a plasma blade that uses ether technology just like the sword of He-Man, and the Magatama, a jewel shaped like a reptilian eye found in prehistoric Jamon and Yayoi archaeological sites that was, you guessed it, biology that turned into hardened geology, so it's actually the petrified eye of a dragon. For centuries, Japanese folklore has described an entire spectrum of reptilian beings, including the kappa seen in Edo period scrolls, similar to water nymphs in Greek mythology. But here's where it gets stranger. Thousands of years before these myths were even written, the Jomon people made the Dogu figurines, wide-eyed, armored, reptilian shapes that look nothing like humans and appear across Japan for millennia. But Japan isn't alone. The Sumerian Apkallu, the African Dogons Nomu, the Hindu Nagas, ancient Chinese Dragon Kings, and Mesoamerica's Quetzalcoatl. Different continents, different cultures, same exact pattern. So what if these weren't myths? What if an ancient reptilian civilization survived or resurfaced after a global cataclysm and restarted humanity by interbreeding with them? Japan has the oldest reptilian artifacts and a current living reptilian bloodline. This makes Japan ground zero for understanding when these beings existed. If the same beings shaped Japan, Sumer, Africa, India, China, and the Americas, then humanity may be living on the ruins of a forgotten reptilian age that at one time, as all of these cultures claim, reptilian beings interbred with humans and gave birth to a divine royal bloodline just like Japan. Sound familiar?
They are not myth. They are fallen angels and their offspring called Nephilim.
In the 1920s, there was this guy. He was the mushroom king of America. He had to rent a cave and grow mushrooms. And for some reason, those damn Europeans started undercutting them and started selling cheaper mushrooms. And he was like, my mushroom business is going to go under. I got to figure out what to do. He bought a bank vault door and he installed it in his cave, went to a local bank and was like, hey, you guys have a lot of paperwork. I have the safest place on earth to store this paperwork. And he started this thing called Iron Mountain. Google Iron Mountain market cap.
$30 billion company.
Since the year 2000, they have created $1 billion at least per year in free cash flow. And they now own 80 million square feet of storage. They have everything. Princess Diana's will is in there. The record label, Sony, has all of their masters recordings stored in Iron Mountain.
This is the thing that stores the government stuff?
Yes. Federal government is a customer of Iron Mountain.
This is perhaps the closest any of us will ever get to Isaac Newton. This is a plaster death mask made within hours after Newton died. And by the way, it was once owned by an early American president. In the 18th and 19th centuries, death masks were important in an era before photography in order to preserve a person's features. The skin was first oiled and then coated with wet plaster, making a negative mold into which other plaster or wax was poured to make a positive. So this death mask underwent recent preservation to stabilize the plaster as well as the flaking paint. This preservation work also revealed an early inscription on the back noting that this is Sir Isaac Newton. As for the president who owned this, that was Thomas Jefferson, who proudly displayed Newton in Monticello as an emblem of the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution.
Fascinating.
Well, do you know how many SAS guys have come out and like spoken up for this fucking guy? Yeah, zero. Yeah. You know what their fucking this is the best part. Do you know what their motto is at SAS? He who dares wins. How fucking hilarious is that? They can't even stand up for their own fucking guys. They can't even stand up for their own fucking guys. It's the same. And their fucking motto is he who dares wins. What a fucking joke. Like, what a joke.
I'm not smiling because I get it. I'm smiling because I was in a very dark place, right? I had everything ripped from me. Zero. I got divorced. Everything gone. Right? Any community I ever had, gone. Like, if you talk to me, no, can't talk to you, bitch. They're gonna get me. I can't. Nothing. gone.
I am not happy with what's going on over there. October 7th was horrible. Gaza looks like a dumpster. 60,000 people killed. That's several months old. Probably a lot more now. Bomb Catholic churches in Libya. Rumors of one in Syria. At the same time, when we see this rise against Israel, in Ezekiel 38:39, it talks about these 12 nations that rise up against Israel. That's where the Antichrist will come from. What are your thoughts on this?
Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Daniel are being written to and about the children of Israel who were exiled in Babylon. Babylon was the enemy, and they were held captive, taken out of the land. And in those books, there's apocalyptic stuff in all of them. My thoughts on all of it, man, is October 7th was awful. I love Israel. On the night that happened, I said, I'm nervous because that IDF can be heavy-handed with how they respond. And I got torched by the Christians. If I give them the benefit of the doubt, are they intentionally blowing up churches? Are they intentionally blowing up civilians? I really would like to say no.
Pull up videos of how Christians are treated in Israel. I was shocked when someone showed me Christian getting spit on.
This one's in Thailand.
I've been to Thailand before.
Have you?
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
What comes with the island?
There's a small villa there. You could practically build what you want.
There's building space.
Yeah, there's.
Do the islands come with the children, or the children imported after?
This island does have a small school. There are children.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was a stipend.
Yeah.
What countries are near to abduct them from?
Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam.
Philippines?
The Philippines.
Of course.
The Filipinos, if they're not being a nurse, they're being your servant. Okay, so.
True.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. What age ranges?
Below 10, I don't really.
This is crazy, folks.
By the end of World War I, the United States realized that it needed to start looking for oil in places outside the United States. By the 1920s, there was starting to be interest in Saudi Arabia. By the 1930s, Caltex, a U.S. company, actually moved into Saudi Arabia and began working on oil exploration. And the reason the United States liked this was because the British had already gone in that direction. So what the British did was they went through the historical record and they're like, look, there's all these references to oil in the Middle East. There must be oil there.
So let's go explore.
So they move into Kuwait, carve it out of the Ottoman Empire with the expressed point of using it as their point of reference, and then they find it originally in Iran.
There are 27 goals.
Operation High Jump. Right after World War II, the United States launched the biggest Antarctic mission in history. Nearly 5,000 men, 30 warships, 33 aircraft, and all of it was under Admiral Richard Byrd. Pilots were reporting that planes were being lost to causes nobody could explain. More than one crew claimed he saw disc-shaped objects rising straight out of the water, which now is very relevant, moving in ways no aircraft from the 1940s possibly could move. Then on the way home, Admiral Byrd gives an interview to a Chilean newspaper. He said that the United States needs to prepare for the possibility of aircraft that can travel from pole to pole at an incredible speed. After that interview he gave, silence. Operation High Jump was shut down, and everyone involved suddenly stopped talking. Some think they encountered UFOs, some think hidden Nazi tech. Others believe Byrd stumbled onto something ancient beneath the ice. All we know is for sure is that the US military does not abandon a mission like that unless something happened they couldn't explain.
This dude had burned thousands of bodies illegally. The Lamb Funeral Home. Their son, David, started working for his family's funeral home. Competitors, other funeral homes are like looking and saying, how is their business doing so well? You can only do 4 burns a day, possibly, if you're not running overnights and stuff. This guy was doing hundreds.
A day?
He was putting in multiple bodies all at once.
And mixing up everybody's ashes.
And so he was handing out ashes to families
that weren't even their loved one.
He got a 14-foot box truck to start picking up bodies. And open up the back of this box truck, just stacked bodies. And they put them in like long triangle cardboard.
On top of each other, not even a layer between them?
On top of each other. It only gets worse. And he would go over and he would pull out certain teeth. And he would take out the gold fillings.
Oh my God. gosh.
One day, David gets a call saying the crematory's on fire. After the crematory burns down, business increases. David bought a huge warehouse for a ceramic tile business. They were burning bodies inside these kilns. It would get so hot, you could literally, out of the smokestack, there was fire even showing through. And apparently, one of the neighbors was one of the guys who liberated Auschwitz. So when he smelled...
He knew what was up.
I know what that smell is. Police show up inside these kilns. 200 bodies being burned at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Within a couple years, this dude had burned over thousands and thousands and thousands of bodies illegally. It gets crazier.
What?
They were taking body parts and teeth and all of this stuff and selling it to science. The mom that ran the funeral home was forging signatures all of these years. And this guy got basically, I think, 3 years in jail.
What?
Oh,
The five most
3 years?
powerful giants who walked on earth according to the Bible. 1. Anak and his sons. When the spies of Moses saw this giant race, they said, "We looked like lobsters with them. Imagine their size." 2. Og, king of Bazan. His bed measured more than 4 meters. He was a powerful giant king defeated by Moses, according to Deuteronomy 3.3. Goliath, the best known. He measured almost 3 meters and was defeated by David with only 1 stone. A story of faith against brute force. 4. The 24-fingered giant. He had 6 fingers on each hand and foot. 5. The Nephilim. They were the first giants. Genesis 6.4 describes them as giants on earth, when the children of God united with human women. They were huge, impressive, and their existence was so out of the ordinary that God decided to clean the world with the flood. It's not a legend. These giants walked on earth, and the Bible remembers them as part of its most shocking history.
Okay, when you think of Italy, does this come to mind? Probably not, because there's an entire section of history that's been erased. I'm putting the links in all of these images so that you know this is real and you can look it up for yourself. This is the ancient home of the Etruscan people. Almost all of Italy is built on top of their ancient work. The Colosseum, for example, based off of the Etruscan amphitheaters that were cut straight out of the mountain. Romans will get credit for it, but even their sewer system, you see the modern Roman blocks here, Etruscans cut that sewer system out of the bedrock again. There are literally thousands of these ruins all over the country. Like, what is that used for? It looks exactly like the Hanampacha style from ancient Peru. We're just scratching the surface. Pay really close attention to this video here because the entirety of this trench, it's called a via cava, was carved from the top down to create a road. These things are supposed to be for carts. Search Italy cart ruts. It'll pull up images that look like they could be cart ruts until you realize that these carts don't turn. The cartwheel would just break and they go over pre-existing caves. The bedrock itself looks scooped or melted and the tracks are circular, wagon wheels are square. That's not even the weird part. The Etruscans were chill. They loved art and music, and women were held in high positions of society, which was rare back then. And even though they adopted their togas, the Romans thought they were too indulgent of a society and eventually turned on them. Then they absorbed their elites and parts of their culture, then made them switch to Latin, making the Etruscan language mostly unreadable. We only know names and phrases, which allowed them to rewrite their history entirely. It was one of the first experiments they took in empire building. This created one of the biggest problems in history. They were one of the only cultures that had a link between megalithic Europe, ancient Greece, and the current version of Rome that they were in. Without them, there's an absolutely critical link in history that is completely missing, while most of their ruins remain unexcavated. So here's the real question. Why could the Romans not figure out how to do this? And why is it there? This website will be very useful if those questions feel important.
The more I learn, the more strongly I believe in an ancient global civilization.
These 6 kids uncovered a miracle that was so incredibly unbelievable that the government still calls it mass hysteria. In 1981, in a small communist village in Yugoslavia, 2 girls, Ivanka and Mirjana, were walking home from a friend's house. Like everyone in the village, they didn't really believe in God. In fact, it was illegal under the communist regime to practice any religion. But as 2 teenage girls, they did believe in the paranormal. So as the sun starts to set, they start to hear this rustling coming from from this hill not too far behind. Mariana turns around and she immediately sees something that makes her scream. There is this pale, glowing woman crying on that hillside. She yells, "Ivanka, look!" But when she turns around to look, there's nothing there. The figure had completely vanished. The next day, they come back, this time with 4 other kids. And as soon as they get there, they feel a chill in the air. And not long after, the 6 kids would all see that same glowing figure. But this time, it was weeping even harder than before, and she had blood coming out of her tear ducts. So they see this, they see how it's getting closer, and they run the other way. And as soon as they turn around, they see how this woman is now standing right in front of them, almost as if it was trying to just somehow tell them something. They would go back one more time, this time because the village was convinced that these kids were either in danger or lying, and they wanted to see if they were telling the truth. Now, hundreds of people followed them. There was soldiers, skeptics, everywhere. This night was particularly silent, and when the kids went over the hill one last time, an audible gasp was heard across the entire crowd. A gasp of hundreds of people seeing that these kids were not lying. The woman was undoubtedly there, but this time she wasn't weeping, and very clearly, everyone all at once heard the exact same words: peace between man and God. And then this pale figure points to the sun that is now setting, and immediately the sky erupts with colors, lights. The sun begins to spin, flashing brighter and dimmer. And in this communist town, as they see the sun getting bigger and smaller, they're all just thinking that the world was about to end and there was no escaping it. There is hundreds of people in tears, and in that crowd there was a farmer who was not overreacting and was shedding tears, but of happiness. A farmer who was secretly a priest hiding from the communist regime, who whispered to himself, "That's no spirit. That is the mother of God." And look, I get these comments all the time. That's not idolatry. Saints aren't real. So I asked my Haven app what scripture actually says about miracles through saints, and the answer blew me away. Have you ever had any questions about the word, or you want to see a verse on your lock screen every time you open your phone? Highly recommend checking this app out. It's called Haven, and it's completely changed the way I study scripture. It might help you too.
Some hikers near the Sonora National Monument were hiking along a trail when they found this. Now, we never really know what's going on in these mountains. You know, there's rumors for hidden alien bases, hidden military bases, people who live underground. We don't know. But what I do know is this door and lock is making me curious. What do you think this is? Leave it in the comments. This is Unanswered Universe.
Here's one of the wildest near-death experiences you'll ever hear about. In December 1991, Dr. Mary
Hensley, she had an outer-body experience, and they're able to see the scene below them. Her explaining when she came out of it to the doctor that something happened, that he was confused because he was like, there's no way you would have known that. That kind of verified her seeing what she thought she saw. But there's one specific moment when she started transitioning. She had like that buffer zone through the tunnel, whatever you want to call it, and then she gets to the quote-unquote other side. She started saying, oh, of course. She had this reflection as she's been here before. It's just a return to where she's always been. Everything made sense once she got across from there. It was a return to home. And that kind of relates to the reincarnation thing, that we've been there a billion times and we've been here a million times. And I think that was the moment where it's not comprehensible here, but over there, everything makes sense.
There's no reincarnation, only the longing and return to our Lord in heaven, Jesus.
First we have here is you press a button and the writing slope comes out. So if you wanted to be able to write on something or read, you had an extra slope. Then on the sides, you press one of the buttons and a secret drawer comes out. You press another button on the inside and secret drawers come out on the end. You press a button on the side, the lion heads come out. On the other side of the desk, which we've just turned around, what we have here is Socrates. And then you press a button further here and 2 more drawers come out. Another drawer at the top. Press a button, more drawers. And then you press another button and another one. Every desk needs a centerpiece. And here's the centerpiece for this one, where you open it up, the drawers come out. Of course, these are secret, that lock. And then even the center drawer comes out, which is secret. On the top of it is an eagle, which is a symbol of the Roman Empire.
I definitely forget one of those buttons and lose my stuff forever.
We've actually been rather lucky in the last few centuries that we've not had any major impacts. Tunguska of 1908 is considered the most recent great impact. The evidence to me suggests very strongly that it was a piece of the Taurid meteor stream, which was a byproduct of disintegration of Comet Encke, which was in turn, and this gets us back to the British neo-catastrophists. So Comet Encke was probably part of a much bigger system, and it was probably Earth's encounter with the Taurid meteor stream that triggered the Younger Dryas impacts. That's kind of, a lot of the pieces are sort of fitting together now. And the Taurid meteor stream was a much more prolific meteor stream in the past than it is now.
When you see that many casualties happening on a daily basis, the odds are going to catch you. You just look at the numbers, and every day you leave the wire, there is a chance. The Army and the Marine Corps are making the most incredible sacrifices. You see it. You go to their memorials. You'd hear it on the radios. Hey, there's 1 KIA heading back to Camp Ramadi, 3 wounded heading to Charlie Med. Like, you would hear these things. It's just constant. That's what they were facing every day, and that's what we were facing. We had the blue on blue happen. Cowie got wounded bad. He's in Charlie Med. He's all doped up on morphine. Bend over to like hold his hand, and the first thing's out of his mouth, let me stay. Damn. So that's the kind of guys you got.
Göbekli Tepe, we have an incredible discovery of an artifact. This is a life-sized wild boar statue. This ancient artifact is estimated to be at least 11,000 years old. And the tongue of the wild boar still has red pigment color on it. It still features stunning detail. The tusks, the tongue, teeth. You can see a spine running down its back. There appears to be something that the wild boar is clutching between its feet or its hooves.
Okay.
The power source is a reactor which uses this element 115 as its fuel. In this reactor, element 115 is used as a target and is bombarded with protons in a small particle accelerator. When a proton plugs into the nucleus of an atom of 115, it increases its atomic number and becomes an atom of element 116, which, remember, decays instantly. What element 116 releases as it decays, or what it radiates, is antimatter.
All the presidents that have, well, reigned in the United States have all been related. As it turns out, both Trump and Hillary Clinton are related to John of Gaunt, a 14th century royal. Gaunt was the first Duke of Lancaster, was the son of King Edward III. According to my heritage, Trump is related through his mother, Mary Ann McLeod, back to his 17th grandfather, John Beaufort, while Clinton is related through her father and the Rodham family back to the 17th great-grandmother, Joan Beaufort. The two candidates are 19th cousins, and so they both have the right bloodlines to continue this lineage. Fascinating that the Bible doesn't speak about the presidents of the world, it speaks about the kings of the world. And it really, over the course of history, hasn't mattered which of the candidates has won, because the candidates have always both been in the same bloodline. Did you know all 44 US presidents have carried European royal bloodlines into office? 34 have been genetic descendants of just one person, Charlemagne, the brutal 8th century king of the Franks. That's a fascinating story, because Charlemagne is, of course, the one who was crowned emperor of the Roman Empire.
Bloodlines of the Beast exposes the hidden families and secret networks behind the deep state, revealing who really controls governments, finance, and the New World Order. Out now. Link in bio.
Man, this is awesome.
Did you know Walt Disney's empire was built on more than just magic and fairy tales? On July 17, 1955, as Disneyland opened its gates, Walt Disney met privately with CIA Director Allen Dulles. What they discussed would change children's entertainment forever. Internal documents later revealed that Disney animators were required to embed specific psychological triggers in classic films. Frame by frame, behavioral scientists designed subliminal sequences to condition young minds toward authority and endless consumption. Former Disney employees testified about witnessing strange equipment installations in theme park attractions, projection systems that flashed images too fast for conscious recognition. The climax came in 1963 when Walt Disney personally approved Project Mouse Ears, a CIA program that transformed innocent cartoons into mass psychological conditioning tools. Every song, every character, every storyline carefully crafted to shape future adult behavior patterns. Today, Disney's global empire reaches billions of children worldwide, still using these same techniques developed decades ago in secret government meetings. The happiest place on earth built on the darkest of foundations.
That sounds about right.
In 2024, scientists in West Africa made a terrifying discovery. They uncovered that the walls of the royal palace of Abomey in the country of Benin weren't just made with brick and mortar, but with human blood, evidence of mass human sacrifice. Blood proteins belonging to dozens of people were discovered, and the reason for this is because of the large-scale human sacrifices carried out by the historic Kingdom of Dahomey. The Kingdom of Dahomey was one of pre-colonial Africa's most aggressive and militaristic states. Following the Vodun or Voodoo religion, they relished in mass human sacrifice to honor their great kings, whether dead or alive. Sacrifices were a grand affair. The so-called annual customs of Dahomey were a yearly spectacle of pageantry, tribute, and ritual death. The victims were normally captured slaves who could expect to be beheaded or alternatively meet their end at the hands of swords and clubs. One British witness to the annual customs, the naval officer Frederick E. Forbes, said that he was disgusted beyond the powers of description at the practice. Having been practiced for centuries, human sacrifice was only abolished because of foreign conquest. As in the 1890s, the Third French Republic ended both the Kingdom of Dahomey and the blood rituals that went with it.
Man, what do you think about that?
Singapore, we already have the situation. No cash. Cashless society. It's ready to go.
And a cashless society is the most important facet, the most important controlling facet of this new world economic order. Remember now, we have three facets to this new world order enslaving government. We have the New World Order, the political part of it. We have the New World Economic Order, which is the enslaving economic part of it in a cashless society. And as well as that, we have the religious order, meaning the New Age movement that we discussed previously. So this magazine now is a magazine published by a sub-organization of the Illuminati. The Futurist is a magazine designed to condition us to their plan that is coming. And in this one particular issue, you'll notice here that there's a symbol on the front. It looks like a dollar symbol, and you may not see that it's really an electronic circuit, meaning that the new money that's coming, and they say that here, is electronic money, not paper money, not coin money, but credits and debits. Electronic funds transfer in a cashless society, not just in the United States, but globally. Now notice on one of the prime articles here, it talks about a cash-free society. In other words, folks, there is a plan to take the entire globe cashless, according to information I've gleaned from research.
Singapore, we already have the situation. No cash. Cashless society. It's ready to go.
And a cashless society is the most important facet, the most important controlling facet of this new world economic order. Remember now, we have three facets to this new world order enslaving government. We have the New World Order, the political part of it. We have the New World Economic Order, which is the enslaving economic part of it in a cashless society. And as well as that, we have the religious order, meaning the New Age movement that we discussed previously.
Revolution is coming.
Old neighbor Richard Dean Hobbs, who went by Ricky. Gertrude once commanded him to brand Sylvia as punishment. Along with the help of Gertrude, Ricky carved the words, "I'm a prostitute and proud of it," into Sylvia's stomach with a heated pin. Gertrude was the one that started it, and then she made Ricky finish the rest because she said she was feeling sick. Sylvia barely responded to the pain, which must have been excruciating, but she was just so weak and malnourished that she basically just laid there. Gertrude heated up the end of a crowbar, and she wanted to brand an S into Sylvia's chest above the pin marks. Gertrude then told Sylvia that no one would ever marry her now that she was branded, and she asked, "What are you going to do now?" Sylvia responded, "I guess there's nothing I can do."
Oh God. Oh my God. That's